Hello, guys. How we doing tonight? Had to triple check that this time I was recording sound because we had a great review yesterday. I wish that we could have had it all, but no. Making sure I'm not making the same mistake twice. Um, can you guys hear me all right? Can you see my screen? How's it going? Awesome. You don't have sound, Seb. Yeah, I think that's a him issue. All right. Sorry, guys, messing around with a few different things. Always a big day on Friday, right? That's why I like to do these reviews. You might have noticed. We usually do the earlier reviews when it's at the end of the week like this. How's your sound now, Seb? Can you hear me all right? Now go to voice and video settings. Let me just type this out. Yeah. All right. But yeah, Fridays are usually big days, and I usually like to end my week off by going to see my friends. I'm a young guy, so I'm probably going to be heading out. We have a hockey game tonight, going to the restaurant, so, you know, that's why we have it earlier. Just want to give you guys that little explanation. But we had a really big fucking day, all right? As you can see, just from our chart, we had 3.27 move down. I feel like I'm not even surprised anymore, right? We've had such volatility in the last few months, actually, since the start of 2025, and even just before. That 600 handles doesn't seem like so much anymore. It should. It really, really should. Yeah, exactly, Alex. It should, but I don't know. It doesn't. It really doesn't. And as you can see, we had a very, very bearish close, right? Right up until the close, we just kept expanding lower. Now, of course, this was our plan, this was our bias, but I wanted to see price retrace higher. We talked about it yesterday. I do want to give a reminder since yesterday's price action review will not be on YouTube. For those watching on YouTube, it is because I didn't record the sound. So basically, we're not going to have a video up with no sound. It's going to be a little weird. But we were so bearish that we could not retrace all the way. And as we outlined also yesterday, the SMT between previous day high here, between Tuesday and Wednesday, forms a high probability high of week. So from that point on, our only bias is to be bearish. I did anticipate a retracement after the large range day. This was the trades that we took on Thursday, right? We had a long retracement and then followed by a short. But now coming into Friday, what was our bias? Bearish. Bearish, bearish, bearish. We had a very, very bearish day, clearly, and we had clear objectives along the way. I was personally looking at these equal lows as our first objective. Same thing on ES, right? Relative equal lows here, followed by the external of our range, right? We're trading within this range. Let's bring it up with our premium and discount. Our first discount and efficiency are these equal lows right here. That's why they are of importance to me. And then we have the external of our range. Quite a smaller range for a daily chart, right? 1200 and well, even then, that's pretty big when you look at the points. But easily reversed. We just had a large range day. Let's go down our time frames and actually look at what happened more clearly. But just from our higher time frame chart, we could definitely tell that it was a very aggressive trending day. And how could we have known? Well, I always interact with it in the same exact way. So I'm going to remove London here because it is of no importance during trending days. This is something that I've outlined very much. If you want to bring that 80% accuracy framework to a 91% accuracy, you need to be able to see trending days. So basically, almost the only time that the London framework does not work is during trending days. And you can skip those basically just by looking at the Asia session and one very key concept that we always use. And what is that? High probability, low of week of day, high of week of day. How do we find those? I need a sweep of liquidity during a specific time, which we would like to call manipulation, confirmed by SMT. And if we look at the current high of day here, we have some very beautiful SMT formed between NASDAQ, NES, right after taking out that Asia high. For those of you that are wondering, the Asia settings here are from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m., right? These are the standard that a lot of people use, at least that I've found that this is what the most amount of people use. I personally like, here, let's bring in our range deviations. It's not going to be very good on a day like today. Once again, trending days will not give you a lot of opportunity for reversal deviations, but you'll have a lot of other opportunities. And as you can see here, this is just the opening range pretty much of Asia. But what I like to use as Asia is going to be, let's find midnight here, and it's going to be 8 p.m. to midnight. This is what I like to use for deviations. And from these levels, I use deviations of 0.5, 1.5, all the way to 2.5. Some custom indicators, guys. Don't question it. But from these levels, this is what I like to use as the Asia session. And see, in this case, if we just hide our other session, you'll see the high and low being formed here. So it is the same high and low as what a lot of people like to use. And here, let me just change the extension. So let's just extend until reach. You can see the high and the low of that session. And in this case, it is the exact same. I just wanted to highlight that because a lot of people have different timings for Asia. As I said, I like to use from 8 p.m. to midnight, but a lot of people like to use until 1 a.m. and to start an hour earlier. Some people even like to start right at the daily open, right? And in this case, that would change the high. So no matter how you prefer to use it, right? I personally saw this, and directly in my mind, what is going on at this point in time is, okay, we're going to see a trending day. So now on a trending day, and let's bring back, I always forget, I need to prepare this. I always forget what the news was for the day. So it was PCE price index. All right, at 8:30, if you guys were wondering. So from this point on, what am I going to look for? Well, I'm going to look for another time-based manipulation, so a Judah swing at the news time, and at the open of 9:30, I'm going to be looking to trade. News time, expanded on side, right? We're bearish from our higher time frame chart. Give me a sec, guys. As I said, big day. And from this, as we can see, we expanded on side, and after later formed our manipulation, right? Since I'm bearish, I'm just waiting here. Then I see that manipulation, and once again, confirmed with SMT. It was really beautiful price action, honestly. And it's kind of hard to notice on days that are so aggressive. But even at this point in time, what do you see? I see a lot of SMT on the highs, none of that SMT on the lows. What does that tell you? Well, first of all, I know that there's a lot of divergence on the high. We are going to expand lower. We have a high probability of expanding lower. I try and stay away from the certainties, right? The 100%. But from this, I mean, I have everything. You want to add additional confluence? These are cases, well, I'll use OTE, right? Intraday retracements, I'll use these OTE levels. Nothing hidden there, right? It's 0.79, 705, which is the midpoint of the OTE, and 0.62. You can use 0.618 and 782, I believe, or 79. 618 is the first one. No matter, right? We return to a premium of this range, formed SMT at a key time, right? That 8:30 to 9:30, right after the news. So right at the open, all I wanted to showcase here to you guys is I'm just looking to short. And what do I need for a short? I need a breaker block and an overlapping inefficiency. So right when 9:30 hits, this is where I can start trading. All I'm looking for is bearish breaker, overlapping inefficiency. Now right here, I did not spot this. I'm not going to lie to you guys, which was for the best today, I guess. But you have a breaker block that formed right here, right? From a swing high to a swing low, we have taken out the highs. Let's bring this in. We have taken out the highs, and now we have just retraced here. I thought that we didn't reach into it, but we actually did. And the thing is, you have to be quick on the trigger, right? So if I see this and I think, oh, well, it didn't look like it went into it because I was zoomed out and didn't have it drawn, well, I just missed the trade. So right here, you have an entry. Your 3PD array stop loss rule will bring your stop loss right here to this high. Fair value gap, inversion fair value gap, another fair value gap. And as you can see, just to that low, you have 2.4R. This should have been my trade for the day, and I should have walked away after that. Even though you can clearly see all this move lower, and no, that would not have stopped you out unless you went break even, and I would have definitely said, well, partial then break even. And as you can see, I would have missed out on this whole move. So I guess today the best way to trade would not have been, I guess. But this is definitely the trade I should have taken. I just wanted to tell you guys, I personally missed it. And yes, I would have targeted right away the low of this range, right? Definitely there is nothing else after that unless the current low of day. Let me just mark it out, right? That was formed during London right here. So these would be my two objectives, right? Looking to take profit here. This is one of the cases that I tell you guys that I would have looked, basically split my take profit into two. So in a case like this, where my partial is pretty much my objective, and then I just want to go break even and hold a runner, 75% of my position has to be taken out. If I have 5 contracts, I'll take out 2 here, 2 here. If I have an even number, so if I have 4 contracts, I'll take out 2 here, 1 here, leave a runner. When I have two objectives that are extremely close to one another, right? This is like 7.3, 7.75, right? Handles. So in a case like this, definitely that's how I like to engage. And see, in this case, your runner would have gotten stopped out barely a few minutes after, but 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes in that trade. I mean, that's textbook what you want to see. It's an easy trade that you're in and out quick. You made your money. You're up. I mean, you're risking 2K. You're risking $1,000. You just make 2.4. I'm out. Right? There's no reason for me to stay in this. But as I said, I missed it. So we're still going to consider different setups. But this was a great setup. And if you saw this, well, you were definitely quicker than me because I missed this little tiny wick. 0 drawdown trade. As you guys can tell, I'm definitely frustrated at myself. But it is what it is. What if you didn't see this, right? That's what we're talking about. I'm here. I didn't spot this specific trade. Well, I'm still looking for a bearish breaker. Now, we have a bearish breaker that formed from this slug here, right? We're looking at this. You have a high, a low, broke the high, and then went all the way down here. This one is a little harder to spot right here, so that's why I'm not mentioning it. But think about the symmetry, as I always say. Swing high, to swing low, to swing high. That broke also here, and then break it back down here. That is also a breaker block. But since both breaker blocks would formed on the first candle, whichever one is easy for you in this case would not have mattered. But if we're always trying to refer to the most recent breaker block, so basically not the most recent, the first one that forms, it's going to be that top one. Definitely. So this is the one I am going to mark out as in this case. And once you have a breaker block, what else do you need? Well, I need an array in my direction. So I need a bearish inversion fair value gap or fair value gap. Now you don't have shit here. You don't even have an inversion fair value gap in this leg that you can use until we're down here. I'm going to include the volume imbalance. Is that a volume imbalance? No, it is not. It is an opening gap, which I am not going to get into at the moment. So let's just use a simple inversion fair value gap here. You have an entry. Now you're quite far from this breaker. That is true. Definitely, I don't want to consider this in most cases. Now it's a trending day, so I would definitely like to consider it. But if I use the breaker to the left, this is close enough. And if you look in terms of handles, you're like, wow, that's 14 points away. What is 14 points? Right? We already have a range of over, I was going to say over 200 handles, but no, over 150 handles. So is this in close proximity? Yes. How long does high probability trade should take on average to hit TP? You know, I got data on that, and truth is, it's not a factor that affects if a trade is good or not. Like, I tried to implement risk management rules that if I'm in a trade for too long, maybe I should get away from the trade. But truth is, it's not a parameter that affects it in that way. I have the data behind it, you know. But what does matter is that if I'm in a trade for over an hour and it hasn't hit my TP, I either fully close or I at least go break even. If I'm in a loss, pretty much, I'll fully close and take the loss. But if I'm in profit, I'll go break even if it's barely. And if my trade is at break even, well, I'm just going to close it. That's an hour for me. I took a trade before open, A plus setup, but it stayed like 10 minutes in my fair value gap and got stopped. Well, see, a trade before open, I don't know. I don't do that. I used to, and I love getting in perfectly sometimes. You know how, for example, here you would have traded Asia, you enter at the high of day and just hold throughout the day, sure. But truth is, I don't really like doing that. It's just so much unneeded stress, in my opinion. Like, why would I enter before 9:30 when I know that 9:30's job is to fuck me up? Literally, it is to do a move in the opposite direction. And that's what it does more than the majority of the time. It is rare that we expand at 9:30, and we have specific rules for that. It's because the news already formed a manipulation before 9:30. See, it's just we're discussing something that we shouldn't even be discussing, in my opinion. I have specific times that I engage with the markets because this is where my edge is at its sharpest. And that is from 9:30 to 11:30 and 13:30 to 2:30 p.m. News is always the manipulation of the open? Not always, not always. News can also be expansion if the manipulation has already occurred. Definitely looking to perhaps do some videos on that stuff. Truth is, guys, I just haven't found the time. So much stuff to do. But definitely interested to do so. But yes, just getting back over this setup, right? So with this breaker, or even with the previous breaker, to be honest here, it doesn't matter. It's in close proximity. This is more than a valid setup. And in this case, I would not have taken the entry on the fair value gap because that's getting a bit far. But a few handles above, having that inverse fair value gap, that's definitely a little bit better. But let's be pessimistic for a second and think that you entered on the worst entry. I like to do this sometimes. Well, sometimes, all the times. When we're analyzing charts with hindsight, I think that it's a lot better to look at the worst case scenario, which in this case would be the worst entry right here. Your 3 period stop loss rule would be inversion, fair value gap, and fair value gap. So your high would be at the high of this candle right here, which I believe was also SMT, right? Yes, there is also SMT at the high. Very beautiful. Right here, let's just mark it out so that you guys know what I'm talking about. Right here. Really a beautiful day, honestly. It did everything that it was supposed to do. And in this case, as I said, entry here. Now, of course, am I going to look too partial at this level? Definitely not. We also had news at 10 a.m. It wasn't orange news. I didn't really care myself. But as you can see, we definitely got some volatility. We had, what is that? A 65 handle candle. That shouldn't stop you out. And there also wasn't really any slippage in this case due to the low volatility of the news, pretty much. But we did see, you can clearly tell that something happened at 10 a.m., right? And right after, what did we do? I like to say it like we bled. Definitely bled. And then you have your, oh, I didn't want to move that. Sorry, guys. You have your main objective, which are those equal lows that we saw on our daily chart. And then you have your final objective, which I would have never expected it to hit in one day, which is your external of our range. And at this point, you can definitely tell it is a trending day. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to hold a runner. And nonetheless, I would have held a runner. For me, nothing too clear on the left to be targeting. Even going on an hourly chart here. This is what I usually do when I'm looking at a long time frame. There's nothing too clear to be targeting here. You might tell me, well, look at this swing. Sure, there's liquidity there. I don't view hourly strings as super important. I don't want to target this order block because I think that we're going to reverse this whole range and I have a very high probability objective here. So why would I look for anything else? Well, I won't. So what am I going to do then? Standard deviations. Can I take a partial at 2 or 2.5? No, because it's too low. So basically what I did is when we reached that reversal zone, I went break even. And then at 4 standard deviations, took a big partial, took a small partial here, and at this point I only had 1 contract left, and I got out just a little before the 2 p.m. open. So here we were consolidating. I opened my charts to see the PM session. I didn't see anything I liked. It was really high resistance here, so I just closed my trade. Missed out on probably, what are we looking at? 100 handles here. Yeah, missed out on 100 handles after catching 500. I'm quite happy with that, right? Quite happy. And if we look right here, very beautiful, no resistance, no retracement right up until that final objective. Definitely a very nice trade following the trade from the morning that, well, that could have been a trade that I personally did not take, which once again, I am slightly salty about that. And where was the stop loss? At the high of this candle, 3 PD arrays. I just wanted to mark it out so it's easier to see. Now you might tell me, well, when if I was looking for longs? No, no, don't. Why? Why? There is no reason to be looking for longs on a day like this. But you know what? Let's do it, because I always look at it. Um, I'm always looking for breaker blocks because there's no setup if there's no breaker blocks. So it's very easy with my model to analyze with hindsight, because I'm reviewing the day and I'm only looking for breakers, because if there's no breaker, there's no trade. I see a bullish breaker here. I see a valid entry here. Yes. Clearly a stop loss, but you know, we're reviewing, so let's look at it. So if I was long, stop here, another breaker here, another valid entry, and another stop loss after a long time. A lot of break even, a lot of consolidation at break even here, and then you not trading here. If you're trading if the afternoon, I mean, why would you even look for retracement? It is Friday. The week is over. You just had an extremely large range move from the high of day all the way. Stop with the drawings, thank you. All the way down here, your current daily range is 560 handles. There are no high probability setups anymore. You missed a move if you didn't take a trade already. But we can still consider it. I definitely think there must be another loss in here. I mean, bullish breaker here, entry here. I mean, you can call that, hey, you went into profit, so it could be a win, but nah. Wait. 3 PD array stop loss rule? That's an inversion fair value. Wait, we might have had enough risk to reward. Yeah. So this is a partial then break even. If you took a PM long right here, beautiful with 2 PM power of 3 here. I'm only looking, right? Breaker block, unicorn, and my framework in this case would be a lunch rate. But it would have to be retracement objective has been met. Yeah, so it would have to be with the noon to 1 range in this case, since our objective has already been met. As you can see, lunch rate is here. Target would be lunch high, but I'm definitely looking to partial. Here in the premium of the range, you have a level, offers enough risk to reward, right? As we know, above 1.7, definitely very beautiful there. But even then, it's like you had opportunities in the morning, right? Today it was all about shorts. If you miss the shorts, it's very hard to justify that you made money, but as you can see, there were definitely some opportunities here and there, but definitely no high probability opportunities. Do you guys have any questions? I mean, trending days are pretty easy to review. It's straight to the point. We expanded in one direction. Here are the setups in that direction. Anything else did not work or barely worked. No questions. Guessing all clear. Nice to see you in here, Scam. Apologize for the little trouble when you joined. It's with a K, so there shouldn't be any, discretion there, but it is what it is. Sounds good. Awesome. Awesome. Well, guys, on that note, I wish you all a great weekend. Remember, take some time, right? And it's not even about taking a break. It's just about taking it easy, right? It's very hard what we do. It's very hard to always be at your sharpest mentally and psychologically. So take some time to enjoy yourself, because there's no point if you're not doing this for that. Thank you. You guys as well. Have a great weekend. We'll see each other on Thursday, not Thursday, on Sunday for a weekly outlook. Bye, guys. Have a good one.